Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are working on my 1997 Mustang Cobra. So if you guys have been following the channel, you know that when I bought this car, the check engine light was on, and there are actually 3 codes that are causing this light to come on. So I'm going to show you those codes real quick, and then we're gonna pull the car in the garage and start fixing the issues. All right, guys, so the first code is P1443 Evap Emission Control System Control Valve. The next code is P0136 O2 sensor circuit bank 1 sensor 2. The third code is P1151, which is a lean reading on the bank 2 sensor 1 O2 sensor. All right, so let's pull the car in and see if we can't start fixing some of these issues. All right, you guys, so based on everything that I've researched, this right here should be the issue causing the P1443 code. This is the Evap control valve, and I think that if I replace it, it should make that code go away. I have a new one here. I also have some vacuum line here because I've noticed that all of the lines running from the Evap canister to the plenum are pretty much toast, so I'm gonna put some new ones on there. So that's the first order of business. I'm going to disconnect the battery and get everything apart, and then we will go from there. All right, you guys, I have all of the old stuff out, and I've cut new vacuum lines, and those are ready to go in, as well as the new control valve. So just to give you an idea of how these lines are routed, so this longer line goes from the Evap canister into the control valve, and then there's a line between the control valve and a little Evap sensor, which is right there. And then from the Evap sensor, there is a shorter line that goes right into the plenum. To get to this longer line that comes from the Evap canister to the control valve, I had to take apart the inner fender well and get access to the canister, which is right there. So that wasn't too bad, but it still kind of sucked. Look at all that goodness that came out from behind the fender well, so that's cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw all this new stuff in, and we'll see if we can clear that code. All right, you guys, I got everything put back together. So this is the line right there coming from the plenum, and it routes back into the sensor right here, and then from the sensor we go to the control valve, the new one, and then from there there's a vacuum line that goes into the fender well and up to the canister. Sorry, I know you probably can't see this very well, but it's that line on the top. And if you look at those screws right above that line, I actually cut my finger on those screws as I was trying to get this line off, and I had to go to Instacare and get a tetanus shot because, as you can see, those screws were rusty. So take a look at this old vacuum line. This is the one that went from the canister to the control valve, and as I bend it, it just crumbles. It's pretty crazy. So definitely glad I changed those. All right, you guys, everything is buttoned up. I've got the battery reconnected. I've got the inner fender liner back in place. The wheel is back on and torqued. So I'm gonna go wash up, and then let's go for a ride and then put the code reader on there and see what we got. All right, you guys, let's do this. All right, so as of right now, the light is off, but it's probably just because the battery was disconnected. So let's go for a ride and see if it stays off. I'm willing to bet that as we drive, it'll come back on because of those O2 sensors, but hopefully that P1443 code doesn't show up anymore. All right, you guys, so I've driven almost 20 miles and the light is still off. That's a little surprising to me. I was really expecting it to come back on because of the O2 sensor codes, but I guess it's possible that those codes were related and maybe the issue is fixed, but I think time will tell. I need to drive it more and we'll see what happens. I made it back home and the light is still off, so I know that's a good thing, but I'm gonna be a negative Nancy and say that I think it's gonna come back on. Again, time will tell. I need to drive the car a little more. I'm really surprised though. I thought for sure that the light would come back on because of those O2 sensor codes. I really don't think that the O2 sensor codes are related to the Evap code, but you never know. So I'll continue to drive it, put more miles on it. I am gonna run a couple tanks of premium fuel through the car, as well as some seafoam. Hopefully that will clean things out a little bit and maybe that'll fix the issues with the O2 sensors. If it doesn't, I'll probably just replace the O2 sensors, but I'll keep you posted. All right, you guys, the next thing we're gonna do is replace the Pcv valve. As you can see, this line and the valve is not looking very good, so we're gonna replace it. I know the whole engine bay doesn't look very good and I'm gonna clean it, but for today, we're just gonna replace this guy. I'm just gonna put this over that little hole so nothing gets down in there. And I have a new one here. I'm gonna put that together, clean this PCV line up, and then put it back in. All right, so everything's all clean. Let's go ahead and reinstall it. There we go. So this old one still rattles, so it's probably still good, but it's a cheap part and I'll just feel a little better with the new one on there. The next thing I'm gonna do is recharge the AC system. The AC will turn on and blow air, but it's not cold air, and I figure the cheapest and easiest point to start at to try and fix that is recharge the system. So when the clutch cycles on, you can see the needle goes to the low range. All right, guys, so I probably put a little more than half of the bottle in the system, and check it out. When the clutch engages, the needle still goes down to the low section. And when it turns off, it comes back up. I would expect that the needle would stay in the green when the clutch engages, but it's not doing that. So that's kind of weird, right? I mean, it kind of slowly makes its way to the low. Let's go inside the car and see how it feels in there. It is cold, so that's good. It might still need more refrigerant, so we'll see. All right, guys, so I put the whole can of refrigerant in the system, and here's what the final readings look like. It's pretty much doing the same thing. When the compressor's off, the needle will climb. It'll stay in the green, but it'll climb, and then when the compressor comes on, it just drops. It doesn't seem to drop as much, which I guess is good, but if you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. It's still blowing really cold, so that's good. I'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see how it does. Hopefully that refrigerant stays in the system and doesn't leak out. But other than those weird gauge readings, so far so good. Dang it, you guys, check it out. The stupid light came back on. Let's put the code reader on here and see what we got. All right, so this is a new one, P0171, system 2 lean on bank 1. Dang it.